Good afternoon. The 2022 Busan International Food Conference. We are welcome, all of you. I am your announcer, Kim Kyung. So yesterday we had the two-step forum of session and also the cooking demonstration. So as you know, the famous chef had a cooking demonstration yesterday. We had a very precious time. And a lot of variety of the expertise had the discussion about, and we shared the information and our idea about food repub. Do you know the meaning of the food repub? Food repub means the taste and the nutrition cannot be any matter only due to the appearance, and we just abandoned the disposal, the food, and we are trying to change it, upcycle into transforming into the new item. As you heard about Baek Jong-won, the ugly potato that he purchased, ugly potato and sold it. So this is one part of food refurb. The younger generation thinks this is a kind of trend, and in Chungcheongbuk-do province also take this idea they produce the ugly kimchi. We also have the academic efforts, and for us, we just opened International Food Reference Conference. So this is the first and the unique conference, and this year marks the anniversary of our conference. So we are on the stage for the promotion. So today we have a lot of attendance. So I hope you just try to let most people know about the Food Revive Conference. So we will have the first Forum 3, the first session. Like yesterday, we will have the presentation, and we had the moderator and panels. We will have a discussion. The first speaker.
저희 그러면 기다리는 동안에 간략하게 오늘 포럼.
So I will touch upon the order of the day. First, we will have the Danny Kessler, professor from the Global International Business from Dongsu University. He will have a presentation. And the second presentation, we prepare the second generation. After the second generation, we will have a panel discussion, and we will have a Q&A time. If you have any question, please take question to us. So thank you for your coming, even in the weekend. We will start the second day of the Food Revive Conference.
네, 앞서와 마찬가지로
The second conference, and we will start the first forum session. As like yesterday, we will have the presentation and we will have a panel talk. So we have a interpretation system services, channel 1 for English, channel 2 for Korean. So we have our first presenter. I hope you welcome him. We have the first speaker, Danny Kessler, Professor Danny Kessler from. Please give him a big applause.
안녕하십니까. Okay, welcome Thank you for coming today. I am going to talk to you about food upcycling, wellness superfoods, an ancestral solution to a modern problem. Now, a little bit about me. I'm a professor at Dongsha University, and I have the Workplace Wellness Research Lab. I'm a wellness researcher, and I've been studying diet and health and fitness, especially diet, formally and informally, for about 20 years. So I really know this topic well. And today in my presentation, I'm going to talk about the problem of world hunger and food waste. And then I'm going to talk about ancestral food and nutrition density, which is my big concept here. And then I'm going to finish off by telling you about nose to tail upcycling solutions. And my presentation is very dense, kind of like my food eating philosophy, so I'm not going to be able to cover everything, but what I'm going to do is go over the main ideas, and then you can, look at the presentation later and save it for yourself. So the problem of world hunger, we talked about this yesterday in some wonderful presentations. We have all kinds of problems in the world. If you look at the news, there's this war going on in Ukraine, in the Middle East, so there's food supply problems. And if you could see from the statistics on this image on the PowerPoint, it's a big problem. And so this is something that needs to be solved, and maybe the solution that I'm going to talk about today will be something that be one way to solve that problem. So we have general food waste, and 88% of surplus food is treated as true waste. And retail waste, 55.12 million tons of surplus food, nearly 35% of the food is wasted. And I bolded the fresh meat and seafood, which is 13.5% of that food is wasted. 13.5% of the fresh meat and seafood is wasted around the world. And then, of course, we have restaurant waste. So I think there's some people in the audience that are aware about that from their own industry, their own research. So to conclude this part of the presentation, I want to say that I wanted to add this slide: food waste and food loss. And there's enough food to feed the 7 or up to 8 billion people on this planet, although 30% of the food is wasted because of these various problems that we talked about yesterday and today. So what I want to talk about today is this concept of ancestral food. And ancestral food, nutrition density, and wellness food. And this is something that I think a lot of people don't know about. And maybe Koreans, you know about this as part of your traditional diet. So maybe some of these things that I'm going to talk about today are familiar to you, but not so much familiar to the North America, where we probably waste the most amount of food. So look at this photo of this ancestral diet. The people who are, this is a photo of people from Australia. They lived in a community that was isolated for 6,000 years. This community, they didn't have a Mega Mart, they didn't have a E-Mart, they didn't have Home Plus, they didn't have CU or GS when they're hungry. They had to eat whatever they could get to survive. But look at them. They look pretty healthy to me. So there was a doctor, a dentist by the name of Weston Price. And this man, he traveled around the world to help communities. And in his travels, he discovered that a lot of these traditional communities around the world, their diets were eating the whole animal, including organ meats. Meats that food that maybe the modern Western diet does not eat. And so he wrote this book, Nutrition and Physical Degeneration, that basically, for the first time, told the Western world about these traditional diet and eating habits. And you can think of this as maybe you can think of your grandmother's cooking. Maybe your diet today is mostly of like Western food. The Koreans and other people from many countries, you're copying this Western food, but you can think of the way grandma cooked to get closer to what I'm talking about today. And what I want to do is show you this chart of the differences between vegetables and fruit, even steak and organ meat. And you can see in the black bold in this image that organ meat has so much more nutrition, so many more vitamins than some of these other foods that maybe you see in the supermarket. Organ meat is densely filled with so many powerful vitamins for your health, for your nutrition. And I'm not going to read this quote, but this is a quote from one of my favorite books that I'm going to talk about, so you can use your translator and read the quote and understand it in more detail. But here's another, if we zoom in, the difference between the vitamins of a steak and the vitamins of a liver. And you can see that the vitamins of the liver are so much more than the vitamins of a steak. And here's some other organ meat that they eat in many places in the world, including Korea: the beef liver and beef kidney and beef heart. So this is my favorite book of all I've read all the nutrition books since I was 15 years old, and this is by far my favorite book. It's called Deep Nutrition by Dr. Shanahan. And Dr. Shanahan, she is working with the LA Lakers. She is a nutritionist, and she works with the LA Lakers, and she coaches them and teaches them to eat optimally for performance. I mean, this is a $1 billion franchise basketball team. They want to get the best nutrition so they can perform at their very best. And she wrote this book, Deep Nutrition, and her concept of food, her pillars are fermented food, meat on the bone, organ meats, and fresh plants and animal products. And I try to follow this diet as much as I can, and it seems to give me a lot of really good, powerful energy when I'm working. And I think that a lot of people can benefit from this sort of diet. So I'll go into that a little bit. Here's another quote from her, but because of the amount of time in this presentation, I'm not going to read the quotes, but I'll say like this. On the bottom, I bolded, for adults, this type of diet is very good for resistance to disease. And for young people, young children, it's probably very good for their health, for their growth. And maybe my mom, if she ate more of these kinds of food, maybe I would have been a little taller. So she worked with Kobe Bryant, the late Kobe Bryant, and she had him change his diet, adding more bone broth. And I know a lot of Korean traditional food that you eat. Some of my favorite dishes in Korea are these bone soups. And but a lot of the modern Western diet, we don't do that. We don't eat these kinds of food anymore. So now what I want to do is talk about my last part of my presentation is this nose to tail upcycling solutions, eating the whole animal. So I want to start off by showing you this framework called the Cinefin Framework by Professor Dave Snowden. And this guy, if you ever want to understand complexity, understand how to solve world problems, this guy's framework is a really interesting framework to understand the different problems that we face in a society today. So his framework has 4 parts. It has this concept in the lower right, which is clear problems. And clear problems are just using your own logic, your own brain, and going, how can we solve this problem? Let's be smart. Let's think about it. Okay, solve the problem. Then we have on the upper right is complicated. Now, complicated is a problem where someone already solved it. Maybe you need to consult your doctor. Ask your doctor or ask some expert, ask some professor. Your professor, someone who is an expert, can solve the problem. But if we go to the upper left, we have complex. And in the complex domain, there is no clear solutions. The experts don't really know exactly what to do. So in the complex domain, the solutions are done by exepative. I don't even know how to say it correctly, but it's figuring out by emerging solutions, by trying many different ways to solve the problem, and also by repurposing. So a lot of problems are solved in this complex domain by repurposing solutions, maybe taking something that already exists and using it in a different way. It's a sort of design thinking approach. And it's a very powerful way to solve some of these big problems that we have in society. So what I'm proposing here is using his framework and the concept of nutrition density and ancestral food and traditional food to solve the problems that we're facing, the problem that this presentation and this conference is about. So what are these guys eating? And how can we use modern technology to utilize what these guys are eating? So this is this nose to tail philosophy. And a cousin of it is the fin to grill or root to shoot. And this is a philosophy of eating that the majority of I think the developing world, Korea still eats this way. So maybe this conference should be in the USA because we're the ones that are wasting a lot of food. But this nose to tail philosophy is a philosophy of utilizing the whole animal. And if you look at this image, why we need to widen the net and eat more challenging fish cuts. Before I moved to Korea, I never ate the fish head and the fish eyes. But look at this quote from my favorite book, and I'll read this one because this is probably the most important slide in my presentation. Okay, I'll just explain it. The fish eye has so many nutrition, so much nutrient. Women will pay $200 to get a lip injection with the same substance that is in the fish eye. And also a lot of the anti-inflammation material, such as knee injection, all comes from this same material. And it's actually more effective because it's from nature. So it's more bioavailable. It absorbs better. So it has a better effect on the body than some synthetic supplement. So it's a good example. This fish eye is a wonderful example of what I'm talking about. So in the solution, and actually I researched this quite a bit, now there are these nose-to-tail chefs that are popularizing using the whole animal to cook. And these are French chef by the name of Julien Fouin, who wrote several books about nose-to-tail eating and including more of the different parts of the animal that are actually more nutritious than just the muscle meat, and putting that into the diet. And here's this famous certification that Gordon Blue they're teaching sustainability and diet, and they're teaching utilizing the whole animal. And then you have modern technology, modern food technology, where they are putting these various organ meats and parts of the animal that maybe wouldn't necessarily be in some foods into the foods and making them taste delicious. Now, one of the problems, and this might be not an issue so much in Korea, but it is an issue in the U.S., and maybe from these movies like Indiana Jones. I remember I saw Indiana Jones as a kid, and then they were eating the monkey brain. So I don't recommend to eat monkey brain, but it's some of these foods that we kind of have a disgust reflex. They're very healthy, and it might be something that to consider to eat. Maybe not necessarily the monkey brain, but some of the other foods. I think some of the other parts of the animal, they're going to be good for you. They're much more nutritious. And I understand there is cultural taboos, and there is taste that, unfamiliar tastes. So that's definitely something to consider. But again, as I mentioned with food technology, these tastes could be hidden, where you don't taste, or maybe it doesn't even taste that bad, but it's just some sort of cultural bias. And there are, of course, religious issues, which different religions, they don't permit certain foods from being eaten, and that's understandable. But in a general sense, there's a lot of food and a lot of animal that is wasted because of some stereotypes, let's say. And you have these companies in the U.S. now. The U.S. seems to be the one that creates the problem and then finds innovative ways to solve the problem. You have these nutrition supplements from Heart and Soul. And these are supplements, so maybe you don't like the taste of liver, but you can take liver pills. And these liver pills are nutrition dense with lots of very powerful nutrition for your health, for the baby's health, for the society's health. And here's another one. This is nutrition in a pinch. This is this company Pluck, where they have these organ meat seasoning. So again, maybe in Korea they already do a lot of this. There's a lot of famous Korean dishes, which I'll talk about in the next slide, that utilizes organ meat. But the rest of the Western world, we don't do that. And maybe that's something that we could do. So here's some of the Korean dishes that I found that have very famous ones. Maybe you eat them. Maybe you ate them for dinner last night. I highlighted jokbal. I really like jokbal. Now, it's not organ meat, but it's very delicious, and it's very good for your skin. It has a lot of very good aspects for collagen for your skin, and they love it in Korea. Maybe I'll have it for dinner tonight. But think about in America how many pigs that they have, but they don't eat the delicious pig feet because they think, we don't eat the pig feet. But pig feet is a wonderful, nutritious food that many people around the world can eat, and I'm sure there's other examples of that. Maybe some cultures, some religions, they don't eat pig. That's okay, but there's other foods like that that are really delicious that could be eaten that we don't eat. And I think this what I talked about today could make the biggest difference in food sustainability. So thank you very much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed my presentation.
Thank you. Please give him a big applause. Thank you for your presentation, Professor Danny Kessler. So is there any question? So a few minutes later, we are going to have a discussion. You can ask question. So thank you for your presentation. Our traditional food, ancestor food, that we have been eat Korean traditional foods. We just eat from the nose, tail to nose, like jokbal and sundae. I'm sure that many of us understand and aware what he said. So thank you for your presentation, and this will help and also expand our idea to the world from the Food Refurb Conference. Thank you again, Professor Danny Cancer. Let me introduce the second panel, the presentation. So we have been talking about inter-organ and also the head of fish. So we have the second present speaker. He cannot be with us, but he will be with us with Zoom, and he prepared the video for us. Saoji Pillai, Dr. Saoji Pillai, he prepared the video from Auburn University.
Good day to you all. It's my pleasure to join BUSAN International Food Refurb Conference. Myself, Saoji, from Auburn University, Alabama, USA. It's my pleasure to meet you all in this platform. Please give me a second to share my screen. My presentation will be about creating supply chain channels for refurbished foods, a sustainable solution through blockchain. In my presentation, I will be covering all these highlights: Sustainable Development Goals, the sustainable food system, the statistics about the global food wastage, the concept about the ugly food supply chain, the value-added products to the supply chain, and how the technology can be used for supporting managing the supply chain. My objectives of the presentations are as follows: to understand the Sustainable Development Goals related to the food, basically the United Nations 17 Sustainable Development Goals, and how the food refurb can be connected to the Sustainable Development Goals. The next objective is to identify the importance of the new supply chain concept for ugly products, and my final objective is to analyze how the technology can be used to support the ugly products supply chain. According to the United Nations 2023 statistics, 2 billion people in the world do not have the regular access to the safe and nutritious food. That's a stunning figure. And in 2022, 148 million children had stunted growth, and 45 million children under the age of 5 affected by wasting food. And in 2022, approximately 735 million people found themselves in a state of chronic hunger. By seeing these statistics, the hunger is a main problem in the world. That's why United Nations' second goal is towards the zero hunger that can be attained by 2030. The goals are aligned with the sustainable goals, Sustainable Development Goals. So what is exactly by the Sustainable Development Goals? The goal that should be able to give economic sustainability to the world. It should help the society in a larger way, like social sustainability should be able to achieve in terms of food security and nutrition, and it should also make sure that there is a natural environment is made, that is through environmental sustainability. So through carbon emissions and all, a lot of problems are created towards the sustainability of this world. So it is very important that sustainable food safety management principles are followed. So if you see the economic impacts by FAQ 2014, it says about sustainable food system that follows the principles of sustainability. So by incorporating its social inputs, environmental inputs, and economics inputs, so this will enable the growth in diverse sector. For example, we can find the green growth and the overall eco-social progress and inclusive goals which are included the social impacts. So considering all these impact, how the sustainable food system can be achieved is a big question. If you see the statistics of global food waste, it is very alarming. It is estimated that 5 to 25% of apples, 9 to 20% of onions, and 3 to 13% of potatoes are rejected, especially in the farm, because of the cosmetic grounds. Consider them as ugly product, consider them as a cosmetic products, consider them as a worn product, and they are destroyed because they don't look right. On the other side of the coin, a lot of people are dying because of hunger. That is why the importance of sustainable food supply chain is important. In Pennsylvania, like 20% of farm produce is rejected by a restaurant because of the, it's not meeting the standards of the specifications of the food product, especially the fruits and the vegetables. And the food wastage represents a loss of 161.6 billion in the US in 2015. That's also an alarming statistics. So larger portion of fruits and vegetables are used, for the landfills because of the cosmetic flows, and farm produce products like fruits and vegetables which are abnormal in size are considered as waste product or imperfect products because it's having blemishes or different colors. So, and the producers always having a very stringent product specification, from buyers. That's why, the buyers won't be able to sell these kind of imperfect food to the suppliers or the buyers. So this creates a lot of imperfect food is discarded in the farm and that is not reaching anywhere. And this number is huge. So basically, product specification says about how a particular product should look. For example, in United States Development Agriculture sets grading standards for fruits and vegetables, like the number one and number two tomatoes, and it's based upon like a lot of features of that product, like mature, not overripe, or soft, clean, and free from decay and freezing injury. For example, number one tomatoes need to be fairly well formed and fairly smooth. If there is bruises, if there is some kind of problems with the skin, they are not considered as number one. Number two quality tomatoes are considered as reasonably well formed, not more than slightly rough. So what happened if they are not meeting these kind of standard specifications? The buyers are not purchasing it from the farmers, and after that it it is abandoned at the field itself, and these products are totally ignored and considered as food waste. It's really alarming. What we can do in this specific kind of issues are there. So normally the products are considered or categorized into a different based upon their suboptimal kind of features. The products are divided based upon their standards in terms of weight, the shape of color or size. When you say apple, okay, maybe the specification will say the apple should be this much gram, the color should be like this, there should not be bruises, the skin should be very shiny. It, these specifications are very high standards, and if they are not meeting, the buyers won't buy it. And sometimes the label, the date of labeling is very much closer to the date, and the supermarkets try to abandon it. Or if there be problems in the packaging, maybe it have a torn wrapper, maybe the different units in the supply chain try to abandon these products, and these are considered as suboptimal products. There are a lot of issues because of these kind of products. That's why there is a need of coming out with a reefer food supply chain concept, because these products are really edible products, um, and they are considered as inedible, and they are removed from the food supply chain. And actually, edible and non-edible waste are a lot, but this is considered as, you know, uh, waste, and people in the supply chain try to avoid that. And what happened? And it is considered as waste because of its aesthetic reason. So in UK, there is a study conducted, and 87 people would eat an ugly fruit or vegetable if they are available. So by creating a new supply chain for the ugly food products, we can create a new market. In that way, we can reduce the farm food loss. It can, you know, and the farmers can sell these products to the sellers or the buyers. They can market these products, and which is having a sufficient value. So what we can do in this aspect, like if a farmer produce a product which is considered as ugly, the product can be sold to a retailer. The retailer should supply to the customers in the market, and the main retailer makes the first strategic move by supplying the ugly product to the market, and where these products can be reached to the end customers. So that is why the need of a ugly food supply chain. So normally we know typically a supply chain of fresh fruits and vegetables will be working on base of this diagram. From the producer, it goes to the warehouse, maybe the wholesaler buy from there, or the wholesaler to another wholesaler it is sold, then it goes to the packaging center, there's a distribution center, then to the retailer and consumers. You can see the row of stakeholders involved in the supply chain process. So the product will flow from the product to the consumer. The information regarding the product will flow again from the consumer to the producer. That's why the value and the cost of the products can be managed in this supply chain. By using this supply chain, especially what I'm proposing is the ugly products proposed supply chain. You know, it can really create an alternative supply chain market by using the products, and uh, maybe this can be a value added products in different ways. It can serve as a ugly product itself. it, uh, and it can reach the market, it can source the channel, and basically the quality should be assured, and transportation and logistic of these products should be in the right way, and there should be a very clear distribution and sales channel. The marketing and branding need to be created. There should be a very good price strategy which allows the customers to buy this, and there should be regulatory complaints, and there should be partnership and collaboration with all the stakeholders participating in this supply chain. So if you have a product which is considered as a cosmetic or an ugly product, it can be value added. It can be, these products can be converted into other products by adding value. It can be converted maybe as a soup, it can be converted as a jam or a marmalade or a dry product. In that way, the waste production can be managed. And this really creates a new revenue for the growers and the retailers when we introduce this new value added product through the ugly product supply chain. So this ugly product supply chain manages the flow of these ugly products from the farmers to the consumers through value added products way or as the product as such. So this will create a new kind of market, and in that way, increase the consumers, and in a sustainable way, the hunger can be reduced. So as we know that from the farmer to reach the consumer, it passed through all these stakeholders who are participating in the supply chain, and there is a need to have a technology to monitor the flow of these food products, because it's an ugly product, the quality should be is the first magic word in this process, because people have a bad conception about the quality, that ugly products don't have the quality as the real product. So the quality maintenance, the transferability, you know is tracking of the food is all very important from one unit to the other unit, which are the part of this supply chain management. This can be managed through technology. The technology which I am proposing here is the blockchain technology. What is exactly the blockchain technology? So you can, on the right side, you can see the QR code. So by using this QR code, for example, I am getting a pack of ugly products. There is a QR code on that pack. So by scanning this QR code, I will know where these products are farmed, what is it, what was the temperature when it was grown, and when it was bought by a buyer, when it was go to the next level of the supplier, the wholesaler, then how, what temperature it was maintained, and when it reached that particular grocery stores. So the food's transferability, there's a transparency of the records, and these are connected through ledgers. For example, there are 4 people participating in the supply chain. Each people can, by using the ledgers, they can create the inputs. They can make inputs about the product what they received, and these cannot be tampered. That means the 4 people are participating. Once the ledger they put in the information, it cannot be changed. So that is the trustworthy part of this blockchain-enabled technology. So in this blockchain technology, RFID can be used, QR code can be used, NFC can be used, and there should be a platform which help. For example, IBM has a wonderful platform. There is a platform which can support that all the participants in the supply chain are able to put their informations there. A consumer, when buying this product, can just scan it and find all the details, the transferability, the quality, the tracking features of this blockchain is very, very important. Thus, a good quality product can reach the consumer or the customer, especially the ugly products. So, the emerging supply chain market for ugly product is utilizing blockchain technology to efficiently manage the distribution of imperfect or cosmetically challenged products to the consumer. And there is a transparency which benefits the consumers and producers, and it's very trustworthy, and it really can reshape the way how the ugly product market can be managed. That's all my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your presentation. So he sent us the video. So when we had the panel forum, that he will be online and he will attend our forum. Dr. Sausifila, he touched upon the application of the blockchain of the supply chain for the ugly food. So we are about to have a panel. So we have the Vice Director of the Industry Academy Corporation of Yongsan University, Vice Director Choi Hyung-min as a moderator. So the Vice Director Choi Hyung-min will be the moderator. So he will introduce our panels.
Thanks to our keynote speakers for their presentations, which offered such valuable perspectives. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the third session at the Food Repair Conference. I'm Professor Hyung-min Choi, working at Yongsan University. And it's my honor to moderate this conversation. Let me introduce a panel of esteemed experts who will help us navigate through the complexities of food refurbishing and sustainability. First, we are joined by Mary Oni from the United States. Mary holds a master's degree in international relations with a focus on Korean studies from Silla University, where she is also PhD candidate with an expected graduation in September 2024. She currently directs international communications at Batil, Korea, and serves as the honorary president of the BUSAN International Women's Association. Her research is dedicated to creating sustainable lifestyles for single people, so with a keen focus on food and the environment. Next, we have Rufia Farin from Pakistan. A master's student majoring in service design at Dongsa University. Rufia's academic journey and personal insights into international business perspectives bring a valuable dimension to our discussion today, especially concerning global trends and food sustainability. Joining us from South Korea is Dr. Dong-Yun Yu, a PhD holder in hospitality and tourism from Kyunghee University. He currently presides as professor and the head of the Department of Hotel Management at Yongsan University. His research interests lie in sustainable development within the hospitality field, offering us a lens into the convergence of tourism, hospitality, and sustainable food management. Now let's turn our attention back to our speakers, Professor Danny Kessler. Would you please join us back on stage? And Dr. Saudi Pillai, are you ready to continue the conversation from your location? Saudi? Hello?
Yes, thank you, Dr. I can hear you. I am here with you all.
Excellent.
Good day.
Before we begin, I'd like to express my gratitude to all of you for bringing your expertise and insights to important conversation. I will facilitate this dialogue by posing questions that stem from the presentations and then opening the floor to our panelists for their viewpoints. Then later, we will welcome questions from our audience, which I'm sure will enrich our conversation further. I encourage our panelists to not only tell their opinions regarding food refurbishing, but also to feel free to serve up any questions of their own that may have simmered to the surface during both speakers. Let's cook up a dynamic exchange. Who shall we start with? Mary, are you ready to share your insights with us?
Yes, just a second. Is this working? Can somebody help me, please? Hello?
I will help you.
Okay. I'm sure. Oh, thank you. Oh, you're trying. Technology. Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm happy to be here. I'd like to share my interest. I am a single person. I have been single for many years. I am very frustrated. It's very hard to be a single person and lead a sustainable eating pattern. My refrigerator, and I would encourage all of you to open the door to your refrigerator and look and see what's inside. What's inside your refrigerator is usually dead food, and you spend a lot of money on it. I am looking at how to change that, and I have a painting on my refrigerator now. It's called Mary's Garden. I am now treating my refrigerator as a garden, and it's gotten much better. The other problem is when we put our food in the refrigerator, we kind of go away and, forget about it. We also eat out a lot because it's very social, both here and in the United States. So the amount of food that's wasted is actually very high. In Korea, what I find to be really interesting is that the single households are increasing dramatically. And I'm not sure if you know or not, but here in Korea, it's like 34.5% of the households in Korea, which is 1/3 of the households in Korea, are single households. Those are people like me who actually, when we go to the grocery store, we have to buy too much food. I do not need 4 cucumbers. I only need 1 cucumber, maybe I need 2 cucumbers. But it's very hard to buy smaller quantities here. So I think there's a market for us single people. I think if we could buy smaller quantities of food, if we could have a better education program on what to throw away, like the expire dates. These are things that have been, I think, left out of many of our education. Maybe our parents knew, I know my grandparents knew, but I don't really know. We would do much better, and we could save, one, a lot of money. We could live more sustainably as a single person, and we could help our environment. I have one other comment. Danny talked about nose-to-tail eating, and he talked about eating organs like heart, liver, and other organs. I grew up in, part of my life, I grew up in my grandparents' house. My grandfather had a problem with his blood, and so he was required to eat liver once a week, which meant my family had a tradition of eating liver once a week. And as I grew older, I kind of moved away from that pattern. But I do remember eating liver, eating heart. It was just part of the diet, and it seems like it's vanished. And also, when I came to Korea, I was amazed because we eat in Korea most all the plant. You have the peppers, and then the pepper plant is turned into like a side dish. So in Korea, the eating for me was actually very different and much more healthy than the diet I had when I lived in the United States. And my health has improved significantly since I've lived here. So I would encourage you, single people out there, to explore how you can eat sustainably. And I would encourage you to find storage boxes like Tupperware storage boxes that enable you to store your food longer, so it has a longer life. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your idea. So, do you have any questions to Danny or Dr. Sauji?
I really appreciate your topic, Danny, because I never thought about why I ate liver when I was a child. I had no idea that liver made your blood better. I mean, I just didn't. And actually, I like liver, but you have to know how to cook it right. And there's, you got me thinking about many different things. And actually, out of one of our conversations came this idea of, oh, how can I turn my refrigerator into a garden rather than, you know, a place where full of dead food. Yeah, and you've given me a lot to think about. I don't really have any questions other than I've learned a lot from you. And I've also learned a lot from you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, do you have any comments? Tutor Mary?
No. Well, I talk to Mary all the time, so we already know what we're thinking about. So, but I think it's interesting that she said that when she grew up, she ate liver, and I think when I was a kid, I think I did too. Mm-hmm. But I think that is lost in the modern Western cuisine. So, as cultures around the world are moving away from their traditional food and moving towards the modern Western cuisine, a lot of these traditional foods are lost, and then the health suffers as a result, because there's all this amazing nutrition density in food that does not get eaten because we try to be eating like an American, and you don't want to eat like an American.
I have one more comment I want to share. When I first came to Korea, I'm from California, so I'm not used to hot and humid weather in the summertime, and I felt terrible. And the reason why I felt terrible is I was eating a Western diet that, you know, it had some bread in it and had potatoes and all that kind of stuff. Well, that kind of food doesn't really go well with hot and humid climate, like we have in July and August. And one of my friends took me to his mother's house. She looked at me and she said, "Go lie down. I'm going to make you samgyetang. You'll feel better." So I took a nap. She made amazing samgyetang, and I felt better. And I said to myself, I'm not eating any more bread or potatoes. There's something very special and magical about the way you can combine your traditional foods. And I felt better immediately. My body just came alive.
Okay, Mary, considering your research in sustainable lifestyles for single people, how can food refurbishing be integrated into this demographics daily routine, potentially reshaping consumption habits?
Okay. Refurbishing food. You know, if you take a carrot sometimes, or you take a cucumber, part of it's still good and part of it's not. So the best way I think you can refurbish your food is to look at what you have in your refrigerator, look at what you do not eat and leave behind, but you continue to buy more of. It means you really don't like eating that. If you look at your carrots and cucumbers, you look at your tomatoes. You know, sometimes your tomatoes are kind of wilted. To refurbish that, you can take tomatoes and you can make sauces out of them, just as he was suggesting. You can take apples that are not so good and you can turn them into applesauce. I'm really surprised that applesauce is not readily available here, because applesauce is made from apples that are not pretty, kind of left over, and they're almost dead. You can cut your carrots, get rid of the part that's all soft, and you can make stews. You can do the same with the cucumbers. So that's how I think you can do that. And you can buy smaller quantities and eat You know, I buy like food every 2 days rather than, and I never shop at Costco anymore. Never, I don't buy large quantities anymore. And I have less waste that way. It's really hard to spend money and then find it all dead in your refrigerator. I think there's more education that's needed about refurbishing food, and I'm learning more about how to do that. I think we, as normal people, don't know really how to do that.
Yes, that's right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the answers. Next, we have Rufia. Do you have any ideas shared with us?
So, hi, my name is Rufia. I'm a master's student, and like right now I'm working on sustainability and zero waste. So my question is for Professor Denny. So I think like you talked about nose to tail like eating. I think it's like really beneficial. It's like kind of like reducing the waste and also like very sustainable. But like I think it's not like for everyone. So because like I came from a Muslim country, but there we are like prohibited to eat some specific like food. But at the same time there, I think I always saw the concept of like nose to tail eating. Even religiously we are like promoted to do this. So I also remember you use the term grandma's cooking, right? So I remember like while growing up, I saw my grandma cooking some food which my mom never made because she doesn't like the taste or maybe like the texture or like the time it takes to prepare, because of course like my mom is also working. I think for me now, so even to add on that, there's some things I don't like, and maybe for the next generation the choice is very limited. But also you propose a solution to take the supplements. But I think, and you also gave a like mention that supplements might not be the same as the real like organic food. So don't you think like the supplement is not the issue, but like the nose to tail concept, it's a good, but like it needs like some kind of a solid framework so that it can be like used in our daily life.
Yeah, very good questions and comments. And to say to that, it's a complex problem. So everywhere around the world, we have all sorts of different food issues, food taboos, cultural food trends. So everywhere is going to be different. In that model, the Cinefin framework by Dave Snowden, he has this concept of complexity and solving the complexity with multiple parallel run experiments, multiple solutions. So you try this, you try that, you try something else, and maybe one of them doesn't work, another one doesn't work, but then there's one that does work, and then that picks up in the US, but then maybe that doesn't pick up in another country, but then something else picks up in another country. And then on the other hand, or the other thing I wanted to say regarding that was the food technology, where they might be able to put the food, the contents, and have them be just as bioavailable as they would be directly from the nose to tail eating in a supplement, or they might be able to make it taste good from utilizing modern food technology and then it solves the problem. Of course, there are religious things, and that is something, but there might be some religious things where they do allow this and they don't allow that. But overall, the concept of nutrition density is something that saves lives, and it's something that people don't know about anymore. Maybe they just intuitively knew it hundreds of years ago, but now they don't really think about that. So I think that those solutions, the concept that foods that traditionally aren't eaten in a modern Western diet are so bioavailable, so when we do eat them, they actually do give us the nutrition that we need. And that's what I want to say about that. Thank you.
So I think nose to tail like concept, it's a like good ground to stand on. But because like sustainability in every field is such a big issue that we have to work on it from like today, because it's not going to fix in like 2 to 3 years. I think it will take like generations to fix like at the area, like point we are. Like I think it takes a lot of time, so we need to work on it, and every individual should work on it, I think.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's not a simple solution. It's not a simple problem, and I mean, food in general. It's something that we're always thinking about. We're always thinking about what we're going to eat. What are we going to eat after this event? And most of us, when we think about food, we're just thinking about: is it going to make me fat? Is it going to put on muscle? That's basically the primary concern of the modern educated person. They're not really thinking about sustainability. So it's something that maybe it requires a top-down solution. Maybe it's just market forces that are going to convince people to change their lifestyle. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for the conversation. Next, to Dr. Yu,
Yes.
do you have any ideas to share with us?
Yeah, I have many ideas actually. Finally, my turn. Good afternoon. My name is Yu Dong-yeon. I'm a professor of Yongsan University, a hotel major department. And before I give my comments, those presentation were fabulous, I think. And both of you, and thanks to Dr. Sauch, then Professor Danny Kessler. And I was really surprised by the big number of food waste. I couldn't believe whether it's really right number or not, right? And it reminds me back in the days when I was working at Marriott Hotel in Seoul, and one day I was in charge of food purchasing, and I visited one of the buffet restaurants after day operation. Then I just saw the all leftover food, and the kitchen staff were just dumped into the trash can, all of them. And I asked the chef, then, may I take some home? And then what he said was no. And I asked him why. Then we cannot downgrade the quality of restaurant, right? That's what he said to me. And I was like, oh, am I downgrading the quality of restaurant? So that's fine. And that was it at that time. After for a while, then, wow, this is a problem now. It's such a wasting a lot. And yeah, that was the first thought to these slides, I mean the presentation. And I want to just give it like a couple points that I want to mention regarding organ meats. And I was born in here. I was born in Busan, and Korea. And I was raised until when I was 15. And I moved to America. I attended American high school. And there was a class we discussed regarding the cultural thing, like foods. And I was up right in front of the podium, and I was just describing the Korean culture and food. At the end of my presentation, I said that I miss my hometown food, which are squid and octopus fries and grilled intestines. And one of the students right in front of me, and she said, ew. And I was like, oh, am I doing something wrong? Right? What is the problem? Why is she hating it? And that was at that time, I couldn't understand what was going on. But after that, I thought to myself, then, yeah, that was like a stereotype, like perception, like a refugee feelings to which they never tried before. And I thought what was the problem about was like a texture, right? The texture of organ meats, like a sticky, and like a jello type is hard to chew. And jello, which never cut off, even though you chew, right? And the shape of itself. So it's kind of have like a refugee feelings to it. So if we can change the refugee feelings to like a positive feelings to it, it would be, I think, this much better idea that we can do. So in addition to what I just said, and all the organ meats are focused on nutrition perspective, right? But it's a food, right? I'm not a good cook, I'm not a chef, but if we can come up with like a more tasty menus and more menus that can appeal to for those people who never tried before, then I think it will be more efficient and like from the starting point. And once again, and once we can appeal, right, to the people. So I was gonna ask you regarding, since you guys, you're American, you're Pakistan, right? So if we, because I'm Korean, I don't know like how you guys, like the feelings, I mean the thoughts to those kind of like organ meats as just like a typical American perspective. And like, I wanna also end with the comments with the Dr. Sauch. And I'm not an expert of the food and supply chain management and blockchains, but it's a really amazing idea. I think that you can link together, you can sync together blockchain, supply chain, foods, and everything. So I want to take your class if I can take your class, if I have a chance. So once again, those truly impressive, and I want to thank you all. Thank you.
Okay, do you have any questions to Professor Danny or Dr. Salji?
Yeah, I just asking one question, yeah, regarding the one.
Yeah, so I would say when I first came to Korea, I didn't really try any of the organ meats. You know, it would be like I had the same opinion about it as maybe your classmates in Maine, right? And but then I remember having when I first had the jokbal, and I was like, and then they told me what it was. I was like, wow, this is really delicious. Like I could eat this all the time. And so I think that it's just a matter of food trends, catching the food trends. And, you know, I think I mentioned in the presentation about these Michelin chefs or these very high-level chefs from France and other countries that are redesigning menus and making sustainable menus using nose to tail. So I think that that's something that is something that could happen. And then also the idea of, okay, maybe you don't like the taste, you don't like the texture, but there are ways of putting utilizing food technology and putting some of these organ meats into the sausage, into the like pills that you could take, and maybe they could make them more bioavailable, and then you can get the nutrition from it. So people know, I think in the US at least, the trend is people are aware of the organ meats as being very beneficial to health, but the question is how do you get them to eat it? So I think that's the solution, or that's the question that the food marketing people can try to figure out.
So tonight I chose the menu as well, gopchang with soju there.
I have one example. When I came to Korea, a friend of mine took me to lunch, and we had sunda, you know, the blood sausage. It was wonderful. And she wasn't sure I would like it, but I'm glad I tried it. And I think there's a level of education that's needed to get people to try things. Yeah.
That's good.
Thank you for the active conversation. Do you guys have any questions to Dr. Pillai via online? Okay.
I've got one.
Okay.
One of the things I've observed is countries, for example, like Korea, many countries are losing their farmers. And the farmers, I've spent time on friends' farms here, and most of the people are very elderly. A younger generation really isn't, there is some movement from the young generation to become farmers, but not a lot. And so when a country becomes dependent on only imports, the country then becomes endangered of its people being, or its country being manipulated by those, for geopolitical reasons, by other bigger countries. And then there's like food shortages that start, showing up. Do you have any ideas on how we can begin to help countries keep their farms so that they're not totally dependent on imported food?
Thank you very much for that question. Thank you for the panel for discussing that. Let me start with, I can start with a very good answer from from Vietnam. when there was a war between US and Vietnam, what happened is they start to eat everything which is available. For example, the banana tree, they used to eat even the tender leaves of this banana leaves. Each and every part of this banana tree was consumed. And another example which I can give from is India, the jackfruit. During a wartime, because of the shortage of food supply, the people start eating all the part of the jackfruit. They used to eat the seed. They try to dry it and they try to make into powder. Each and every part, the part which is not edible, they try to give to the. So that's a very sustainable way of doing things. So what to the question about the education to our generation, because we always depend on farmers for our food. There's a culture that should be started, need to be started. This can be start from the basic primary school education, where students should be able to give chances to grow these kind of food in the available in their house. Maybe they can simply start with growing herbs, or nowadays you can use the terrace of the house to grow a lot of basic food which we can, like tomatoes, beetroots, a lot of things, whatever we can grow in the farm, except the paddies and all. A lot of things we can grow in our house itself, maybe in the terrace. Maybe there is a way of watering them. There are a lot of I am not exactly getting the term where we can grow a lot of salads, a lot of leafy vegetable. It's possible nowadays, and there are a lot of technologies available for doing this. So in this way, a sustainable, the basic thing is that we need to educate them. It's a part of the lessons at school that this sustainable way of growing vegetables and other things can be done, and we need to educate the generation. That's very important. Hope I answered.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for the answer. Dr. Pillai, in light of your comprehensive presentation, which touched on sustainable development goals, the structure of a sustainable food system, and alarming global food wastage statistics, I'm particularly intrigued by the concept of the ugly food supply chain and the addition of value-added products. So could you expand on how blockchain technology can not only support the management of these supply chains, but also help in the successful market integration and consumer acceptance of these value-added refurbished food?
Doctor, can you repeat that question one more time?
Yeah, my question is to please extend on how blockchain technology can not only support the management of these supply chains, and how we can help in the successful market integration and consumer acceptance of these value-added the food.
That's a very good question, because we are talking about in this conference about refurbished food. So the moment the term refurbished food, a lot of things comes in the people's mind: wonky foods, ugly foods, cosmetic foods. So we discuss about the hunger. Well, a lot of people are suffering because of that, and the other side of the coin, a lot of are wasted in the farm, because the buyers don't want to take this food because of the specification standards. People don't want to buy it. So we need to create an alternative market. That's very important, because a lot of people are not are suffering because of hunger. Maybe in other part of the world also. So what I'm trying to tell you here is, if a new market, a new way of marketing this product, the customer. So we need to create a new sustainability chain by, is an alternative chain to this current market, current supply chain, where the farmers, where the agri products collected from the farmers, the buyers can buy it, it can send to the warehouse, it can be given to the next unit, and finally reach the customer. The only problem is how to maintain the quality and how you make sure that the hygiene is managed. It's very important because in normal supply chain also, when this from one unit to other, there is temperature fluctuations. The things will go bad. So there is a need for the technology. The right way of transport is managed. It is stored in the right way. And when it reaches the customer should get, because the customer is going to use this product, they are the final end users. They should be able to get the information about this particular product because we are trying to brand this product. We are trying to market this product. So by using this technology, what happened? The farmers, the buyers, the suppliers, the consumers, all will get connected. So each person will get a ledger where they can accept the customer from the farmer. He can, in the ledger, connected ledgers, he can put the info about product, where it was farmed, what temperature it was formed, when it was sold. Then the wholesaler can put the information when he bought this product, how it was stored, what was the temperature, and each and every person can add their own infos and they're connected. And no one can alter this. It's very transparent. So when you read the final customers, he will get all the information about this product, about the ugly product. It shows the transferability, the trust, and it's very transparent. So this can be able to, these characteristics, these special features of this using this technology also can be marketed. Say this product is ugly product, but when it reaches you, this is having the same quality of that of the alternative product which is available in this market. So there is a so the people should be educated by sharing these infos, and this can be, this is a new market which can be surely generated. On the other hand, you can add the value add, as you asked me in the question, as a value added product. This product which is purchased from the farmers, it converted to other products like jam, marmalade. It can be powders, like it's fruit or vegetables, and this can be value added. It can be shipped to the other countries where we are talking about the other parts of the world where the people are suffering, the kids are suffering because of the hunger. This can be shipped to the other part of the world. And through this kind of supply chain, and by using the technology, still we can be able to manage the transparency and of the blockchain. So this is a wonderful way. The food the ugly product can be, the FURB products can there's other supply chain can be created, and it can reach the different parts of the globe and even to the needy persons and to the customers, which almost have the same value and same quality of the original products. Hope I answered the question.
Thank you for the answers.
Thank you.
We would now like to invite questions from the audience. If you have a question, please raise your hand and a microphone will be brought to you. So kindly state your name and affiliation before your questions. 자, 이제 네, 플로어로 마이크를 좀 넘기도록 하겠습니다. 혹시 질문이 있으시면 손을 들어주시면 마이크로
I will give mic to the floor.
I am JSB, Kim Hee-sun from JSB Mice and Tour. Today, I had a very special point everybody touched upon today that I have never thought of before. So recently, one of the emerging food is Muslim foods. I've never thought about it, and from the Muslim food, even our food refurb, and you just told me the same shape of the fruits and shape of the vegetables, just a little bit strange that you don't eat it.
I heard half of the
Please
question.
try the translator.
Can you like?
Okay. 네.
We have a very special food from Muslim country. So we say Muslim food. Those Muslim food in your country, you also have the similar situation like ugly food, ugly vegetables, and ugly fruits. It is fresh, but do you have any tofu in your country, especially Muslim country? Do you have any tofu for the ugly vegetables or the fruits?
No. She's talking about like specific food that is like not allowed to eat in like Muslim countries. So yes, like there are some specific like animal we are not allowed to eat. Like I think most of you all know we are prohibited to eat pork. Like for other animals as well, there's a specific way of slaughtering it. If the animal is not slaughtered in that specific way, then we are not allowed to eat that as well. And like we are also not allowed to drink alcohol, like or consume it in any form. So these are the few like things. So basically, like if like you're religious and like you're practicing, you're not allowed to eat anything in Korea.
근데 이
So what I want to ask you is, from your Muslim food, for example, like a fish food and meat food, you have your own method of the cooking, but our food refurbish like vegetables and fruits are not actually related to your fruits, not allowed to eat.
She asked it to you, the halal food is related to the pork, or the non-halal food is before some ceremony, before the producing, but you know, the farmer production is not related to the specific the halal food, right?
Yes.
Yes. So she asked about that.
Can you please
So,
tell me?
so can you, do you have any idea to use the food refurbishment in your country?
Oh, so so technically there's nothing like that is like not allowed to eat. So we can like kind of like use and like refurbish like kind of everything, but there's not a specification like or a specific way of doing or like using the food. Maybe I might like get the question right or wrong. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it sounds like she was asking about about fruits and vegetables, is there any restrictions about the fruit and vegetables?
Oh, they're not any
So
specific
just
restrictions.
just the animal
Yeah.
restrictions.
Yes.
I have an example. Okay. I was in Egypt. I go to Egypt every year for a large conference. And the Russians shut down the exporting of Ukrainian grain. And it just devastated Egypt and many of the other countries because the Ukraine produces fine white flour that we eat, but in many countries they use a very coarse wheat. And so most of the coarse type of wheat that's used to make breads and things like that in countries like Egypt and many of the other Mideast countries and Central Asian countries, it wasn't available anymore. And the prices skyrocketed. And your flat breads are commonly eaten by everybody, both rich people, middle-class people, and poor people. And it caused a huge economic problem in a country like Egypt, and then there are North African countries also, and other African countries that had similar economic problems due to the lack of being able to get the kind of wheat they needed to be able to make their breads, which was a main staple of their diet.
Thank you for the good conversation.
I can tell an example for that.
Okay, Dr. Saoji, can you answer to the question?
Yes, I can give an example. For a particular group in India, they are known as Jains. For these people in this particular religion, they won't eat any food which is grown under the ground. For example, they won't consume onions, no garlic, no ginger. So what happens is, when they come to the restaurant and they order for food, chefs will be having a big problem because it's very hard to create a food which is, there is no onion, there is no ginger or garlic. So because they think it's a part of their religious practice, they won't consume this kind of fruit. They think that this can create negative energy within them. Thank you.
Thank you for the answer. CEO Isan Kim, do you have any questions?
네, 하나만 더 여쭤보고 싶은.
One more question. So, any of you can answer the question. If the ugly foods like vegetables and the fruits, if they are not discarded, if we can use it for the famine, do you think it's possible to handle?
I think this question is for Dr. Saoji because you made a presentation regarding the hunger issue. So could you please answer to the question?
I didn't get the question actually.
She asked, 질문 한번 더 해주실래요?
So the abandoned, discarded is 20% to 30% of the food waste. But it is ugly, but this food waste, we say ugly food can be used for the famine, for the hunger, those who feel hunger. Do you think it's possible to use the furbished foods can be used for the poor people?
Hunger, a place where there's not much access to the kind of ugly foods that richer countries throw away. So hunger issue. So how we can use the food refurbishment for the hunger, resolve the hunger problem.
Okay, that's a very good question. That's what I was mentioning, that the refurbished product, if you create a new supply chain with the new market. So, for example, we can just say, okay, in Thailand, a lot of foods are produced, and the normal supply chain um, uh, cannot buy that. For example, it's like, for example, it's a potato. Potato is a starch, carbo, and because these potatoes are produced farm, and because of some problems, it's considered as because of its features, considered as ugly product. And if the new supply chain, what I mentioned, this can be purchased by a buyer, and this can be converted into potato powder by value adding. And this can be, by using this supply chain, this can be supplied to the other part of the world where there is a hunger issue. And this is a wonderful starch, in potato starch. This can be used, especially you can prepare bread, a lot of things can be prepared from these potatoes. And this is one example what I'm trying to give. Or if you buy apple is produced in America, for example. And if it's a refurbished food, this apple, if you have a separate market for this apple can be converted into salad, or it can be converted into puree, apple puree, or this apple can be converted into jam. This by adding to that, because it's the packed food and it's having a new market, this can be even supplied to the other part of the world of hunger. And I'm telling a few examples. So this can be shipped to other country if this supply chain work. This is a wonderful opportunity to use, and even the technology, the blockchain technology will able to maintain all the quality and the transferability and the transparency of the product and reach the customers. Hope I answered the question. Thank you.
Thank you for the answer. Let us invite one more question from the audience.
예, 안녕하세요.
Hello, I am in the doctor's degree. I just want to have a question to Professor Dennis. The traditional K-food, you mentioned about traditional K-food in Korea. So most of the people using these foods for the side dish when we just try to have alcohol, so it's limited. So when we try to match these foods for the food when we eat meal, for example, when you just fried it at home, but we are only using for when you take alcohol, even the jokbal and also the internal organ foods is the same. So do you think it's possible that we just harmonize it with when we eat rice? How can we utilize it?
It's a good question, and I think if we look at the different food cultures around the world, here in Korea, we have a lot of side dishes with alcohol, with soju, but then in other countries, they have all sorts of different ways of cooking and preparing the foods. That liver is actually very commonly eaten in many places in the world. And I think Mary mentioned that she had liver as a child with her grandmother, and then I'm sure in some of the the other European traditions, there's many ways of preparing food, and in this world where anyone can find any recipe if you go on to YouTube, and then you can figure out something, and then I'm sure like as the restaurant industry innovates and changes and fulfills the desires of customers, they can innovate and create new foods that become appetizing to different populations. So maybe in the future we'll see some different sorts of foods or different preparation methods for some of the foods that you eat when you drink. And I mean, for example, me, I don't when I have jokbal, I never drink with it. I just like the way it tastes. So I'm a foreigner, and that's how I I perceive the eating jokbal. But so I think each person has an individual experience with food and is sharing this knowledge, educating people about nutrition density. I think will encourage more people to eat nutrition dense food. Thank you for your question.
Thank you for the answer, and it was a good question, audience. As we wrap up our panel discussion, I'd like to extend my gratitude to our panelists for your invaluable contributions, and to the audience for your engagement and thoughtful questions. It's clear that the path toward a sustainable food future is a collaborative effort, and today's discussion has been a testament to that. So let's carry forward the ideas and energy from today into tangible action. So thank you all for a dynamic session.
네, 여러분 오늘 토론에 참여해 주신
Thank you for the discussion. Please give a big applause to those who attend our forum. The Vice Director, Choi Hyung-min, as a moderator, thank you so much. For the last term, we will have a photo session. So we are ended up our first discussion. So it's before 4 o'clock. So our second forum will start from 4:30. So please coming back again at 4:30, and you will have more information, and also you will have more idea will be shared here. Behind the venue, you can see the promotion booth. So if you have a time, please take a look at what they do. So I hope you just have greatly wait for the next session. Thank you so much.
Searching for a second chance in this new.
네, 안내 말씀드리겠습니다. 잠시 후
May I have your attention, please? From 4:30, we are about to have session 4 forum. So those who stand outside, please to be asked to be in the hall and please be seated. Please mute your cell phone. Behind the venue, we prepared a promotional booth. The companies and the organization who participate our event, please take your time to visit the venue. So we have a second day of the Food Recovery Conference. We will start very soon. So, attention please. Soon, the second Busan International Food Revive Conference will commence soon. So, our last program will start very soon. We have simultaneous interpretation services provided, and also you can watch YouTube. Please try to find the visit. If you are not allowed to not available to come to our conference, please visit YouTube. We have a simultaneous service, interpretation service. Channel 1 for Korean, channel 4 to Korean English.
네, 약속한 시간
So we have time to start. So 2022 Busan International Food Conference, Food Revive Conference, the last Forum 4 starts now. This time, we would like to touch upon a very practical issue. So we will try to find a way for the food revive. You know the meaning of the food revive. I'm sure that everyone know. The taste and the nutrition doesn't have any problem, but the appearance and also blemish products can be throwaways. These foods that throw away we are using and try to transform it for the value-added products. So we have been touched upon the well-list superfood and upcycling, and how can we build the use the blockchain to construct the supply chain in the food revive. This session, we will touch upon the status of the agri-food and the utilization. So we will have a presentation first, and we have a moderator with panels. We will have a discussion. First of all, I would like to express the Usong Academy Professor Lee Jong-min is the K-Food Culinary Professor. Good evening. I am K-Food, the Professor Lee Jong-min. And this time, I would like to talk about the loss of the food on the status of the procedure and the cases and the strategies of using the ugly food. So the other side of the world, people suffer from the hunger, but the other side of the globe, people cannot handle the fat. And also this will threaten the earth. The 1/3 of the world foods is thrown away as a trash. How can the food waste affect us? The food effect causes what wastewater and stench in the process and emits 8.8 million tons of greenhouse gas per year. This is a domestic standard. The food and also the consuming, we just can eat, but we just throw away. This food loss not only for the economic loss, but also cause the increasing of the food price. And it is also recognized as an important international factor which contains social issues such as our consumption and the famine, the pollution and greenhouse gas emission on the stage of production. The disposal of the waste. 8% of the world garbage emission comes from food waste. If you put the food waste of the year for the 40 tons of the truck that you can turn the earth 7 times, 21% of the fresh water on the earth should be used to dispose it. Byproduct food is a vulnerable product which is produced the process of the food procedure or processing. However, if you don't use the right place, it will be considered as buried or cemented. And also, we just throw away. And during the distribution, if the shape of is too small and ugly, then we just can throw it away. The consumer always buy over-consuming, and also they discard it from home. So I will just touch upon the idea on the stage of processing. EPA, in USA, the best way to make less waste is try to lessen. The most important thing is food upcycling. The byproducts on the processing food. That means the usable, eatable, but usable, useless products, and it is thrown away. Sometimes it is the landfill. And also the 0.2% of the coffee, we only use it. And when you are making the brewing, that when you make 18 liter of the beer, 13 liter will be left over. So you can recycle it by making a new food by the manufacturing process. According to the statistic information, the upcycling food is based on 2022. That is 70 trillion won in Korea, and it is 44% of average of a growth. And it is expected the 110 trillion won by 2020. Upcycling is real, is added, has been tried in the other fields such as furniture and clothing. And we are just expecting the food sector, upcycling food is produced, which was transformed into the material that will be discarded due to the lower commercial value. Upcycling. And also we are using reuse that. This is the meaning which is expanded, that we just try to utilize and the value-added products. This is also the same meaning of the food refurbish. Upcycling has been upgraded and use it. So we are using the food and also try to heighten the value added. And also we need to have a distribution card. So I will talk about the beer. So we just use the beer ground. When you just make the brewing, we just, most of them they throw away. And we need to pay for the disposing. And also we just had a lot of emission of the carbon. But now, the beer bark has a lot of protein and also the nutrition. So we are using the granola and energy bar in Korea right now. E-Harvest are using this one as a lineage bar. And also, we have a milk oil from the Durazur. And also we have the wheat meal from Durazur. And also in America, they have a cookie dough from USO. And Tyson Frozen, they have a chicken and a beer. And they are using from the vegetable byproducts. And also they are using the bakeries from Spanish goods. And even in Japan, Asahi US have granola from Japan. And Rotechison also have the yeast products. This is for good supplement. As the vegan, we are upcycling the foods. Upcycling foods are typically from grains and vegetables and fruit as the materials that is suitable for vegetarian. Particular upcycling vegan food utilize processing by process press. For example, the soy fill in general, and those are the leftover from the products of the others, such as the sunflower bark is to use and also good gluten-free. This is good for the people who have allergic. And also the Earthing Company and for foreign company gluten-free flour baking mix. Sunday 7, they just made a gluten-free cereal made from sunflower ground. And after they just make the vegetables into the products, they just have extraction. As for more household, we have the processing for the pet food. So we use the Lowlands has the stick for the vegetable, and they just made from the best, and they had the nutrition for the pets. And also we are using the eggs, the breaking on eggs support bake. Food upcycling is not only for pets but also for using for human too. So as there are more households try to have more, there are many upcycled pet food. And the world pet food market is about 80 billion US dollar. The 2024, we are expecting 91 billion US dollar. Korean pet food market is 1.3 trillion won in 2022. Harim, Dongwon F&B, Dongwon, and LCJ, and the KTG Ginseng Food are also trying to working on the pet food market to developing various products. And for the using part of the byproducts that cannot be eaten, by using parts and by the products that cannot be eaten are sold well in the emerging market. The part with the low, I also visited the department store. It was up here was a bit, not good for me, but it was so surprising. And the cartridge shark, the ear pig, the pork tails, and the duck neck all these parts are using, and also it is a good valuable for the consumer who has pets, and ugly fats and also dried vegetables are using for the pet food. The market for upcycling pet food is expanding and put owning holders. So we were talking about the food loss at the consuming state. The Andrew Smith, the food columnist of America, the best before dates are the major contributor to waste. To set up the dates has a huge impact on the selecting the products on the shelf. And it is also the criteria of the consumer. The best before and the use by date is totally different. The advanced country, we just have the food waste when we are cooking. In Korea, also similar that when you just try to 70% of the food waste comes from the household and the restaurant. 2023 January, by the food labeling and advertising the food products labeling with the use by date increasing in expiry date, there will be a 1-year transition period by December 23. The by use date replaced sell by date. However, dairy products including milk will be allowed to display for 1 year for the preparation. 60% of 70% of consumer that we just put the best before the date, but consumer for the food after purchase, but use by date is a 80 to 90 period of time that food can safely consumed, which is relatively longer than the best before the date. It is 20 to 8. The freezing and frozen should be in the right place. So the best before the date will be to reduce the food waste. The consumer should be aware of use by date system and store and consume as they want as a smart consumer. And also it is important for the fresh. Before we just used by weight. It is still exists, but recently rare case. Due to the labor issue of the weight products and consumer only choose the good stuff, the retailer are losing money. So some supermarket are offering the pre-pack the vegetable due to we have increasing of the single household, but we have to buy 500 of spinach, 300 grams of mushroom, 1 kilograms of 8 grams of the cucumber. But these are in the freezer and the leftover in the freezer. The retailer need to have more weight or packaged products, and consumer also consume through the planning to reduce the food weight. And also the retailer should working on the labeling. And the convenience shop, they have to have a last order, but it's not common so far. So we have been touched upon the utilization and also the food waste during the food processing. And also byproduct is also important. Food refill is not important to government, the academy, and the business and household. If they work together, if they do the smart consuming, then we will live in the better place. Thank you so much.
우송정보대학교 K푸드 전공 이종민.
Thank you for your presentation, Professor Lee. So we are talking about the loss of the food and also reuse on the byproducts. And this is the discussion that we will start. So I would like to introduce you, the moderator, and also here, Choi Soo-gun, the Director of the Museum Culinary, Choi Soo-gun, President of the Korean Academy of Culinary Sauce Science, is the moderator. he will introduce the panels.
Professor Lee Jung-min presented about how we can consume the food refurb products. So I would like to introduce some panelists today. Professor Jung In-young from BUSAN College is a professor as master chef. He was majored in hotel culinary art. Please be on the stage. Now I would like to introduce Dr. Dr. Kim Dong-seok. He's one of the board member of Korean Academy of Culinary Resource Science. The third panel is the Doctor of Management of Hotel, and he is a professor of Uso College, and he's a director of promoting Busan area. Please come on the stage. Last but not least, I would like to introduce Dr. Lee Jung-min, the professor of Uson College, majoring K-food culinary art. He was working as a chef in Lotte Hotel. Good afternoon, everyone. I was actively participate in this conference last year and as well as the 2 years ago. Last time we were talk about the low material of food, but this year we were discussing about the processing food. So I listened well the speaking of the Professor Lee Jung-min. First, I would like to ask each panel have comments or any questions.
상품성이 낮은 못난이 농산물을 가지고 새로운 식품을 만드는 걸로 이야기를 하고 싶은데요. 많이들 경험하시겠지만 울퉁불퉁하고 아니면은 생김새가 못생긴 그런 채소들 같은 경우에 그걸 구매하기까지가 좀 어려울 텐데 이제 그런 것들 그런 울퉁불퉁한 못난이 채소를 향한
For example, for this, the ugly food can be used as a pickle, and also the non-commercial melon is using for the melon juice in USA. It is very sweet, but there are many fruits that has been abandoned, and the many reason they just cannot to be produced. The products, the fruits can be used for the dried fruits. So we just can use it for the dried fruits and also the value-added processed products. It depends on the taste and the situation. We just can use in upcycling foods. By utilizing the upcycling foods, we'll try to prevent the environmental pollution. And this is the current trend. And also this is also the first stage of the development of our food industry. For example, the England. So we just make the beer from the bread, and also we just produce wine from the discarded fruit. For example, Canada, the grind of the banana and also the watermelon, they are using. So from home in our country also, we just concerned about the ground of the waste of food. But see, we have to find the method to utilize the ground of the banana, how to use for the vegan, and We just also make a pickle or kimchi from the bark of watermelon. As I heard, the ugly food, utilization of ugly food in Japan have got the popularity in Japan. And we are also, they are using the platform for the ugly food.
A few days ago, I went to the market. They are promoting the food refurbishment is there. So people now, the food refurb awareness is raised now. So through this conference, we need to promote the food refurb that will vitalize the food refurbished market. The second, I would like to ask to Dr. Kim Dong-seok. So I want to talk about the processing part. Among the processing part, today or yesterday, we discussed about the farm product. But these days, I am working on some projects related with livestock. Livestock farms are suffering because of some disease. For example, cow. The price of cow. When you talk about the price of cow, the popular part, for example, the ribs, has the high price because the consumer prefer those part. But there are the non-preferred part that is need to be used as processing food. So we need to create some recipe for using the unpreferred part, but it's not that common in the market. For example, when we go to the Sangju area, in Sangju there are 3.6 million cow farm is there, and it's quite a lot. And even the Sangju area where most of the farms are, but they do not have any processing food of cow. They only have maybe some event food, for example, soup. But preferred part like beef bone are expensive because people prefer to make the soup. But when we say the other part, that not popular bones, they're using those kind of bones and make a soup with it. But they only consumed in the local area. The other examples that I can say that fisher products, Ulchin area and Ganggu area, they sell and they produce a lot of red crab. Not only they sell the normal product of the crab, but they also use ugly crabs after processed. They have the processing factories. They use the legs that cannot eatable. So sometimes they use those kind of legs to make soy sauce. So that's good examples of using processing food. When you go Guryongpo area, they are making a squid bread. Nowadays, we can squid is not a major product of Ulchin Guryongpo area, but they still can make the bread with it. Recently, in Pohang, they get a lot of deep sea squid, and how we can utilize those kind of things are emerging issue these days. So how we can utilize those products. Eventually, consumer need to buy. They should be desirable product for consumer. So we need a consumer perception change as well. I think that is another keyword of food refurb. Consumers' awareness need to be changed regarding farm and fishery products. Thank you for your comment. I am interested in fisher product as well. I am expert in broth. When I talk about the Japan, they use a lot of cod bones. After they make a fillet, and they use cod bones to make a broth, or they can make alcohol. So I think that can be another good example of using fishery product. We need to promote the food refurb concept to the fishery processing producers. So I saw on the TV this few days ago, Chungcheong province, they made kimchi with ugly cabbage, and the governor promoted about that kimchi a lot. So I think that is another best example of food refurb. Now I would like to ask Dr. Lee Seung-hoo.
Good morning. Good afternoon. I'm Lee Seung-hoo, Professor Lee from USA College. Upcycling or ugly food, I would like to thank you for your presentation, for the strategy of the cases. When I was invited to this conference, I just tried to thought what kind of advice that I have to give here. So they've been talking about the commercial issues and processing issues and the consuming issue. I'm sure that they have been talking about this, but I would like to touch upon the special point. My job I belong to school, so my project is immersing. So the local government suggests and try to prepare, and also the business sector need to utilize all the idea. It should be same like food refurb, but academic sector, we just only discuss and also give advice. This is all what we have to do right now. We need some case that we need to activate and doing this. Then how can we consume the ugly food from the academic status? And also how can we change the awareness of students on food refurb and ugly food? So what we can do from academic sector. So when we have the colonial class, now we can utilize the ugly food. But to compare the business sector, our consuming is not enough. So I would like to say this is not direct consuming, but I would like to let our students know that the ugly food doesn't have a problem with the nutrition. And also, I just want to expand their viewpoint of their using ugly food. So we have a captain designing class and restaurant class. Most of the school have. For this, the food refurb, the ugly food will be a good topic to students, and the students try to find out and try to make it commercializing. So this education that we need to do it for us. So especially my school, each semester we do the captain designer, but we have to try to select a topic for the food tech this semester, and not only for the food tech, and also next year I will try to working on the food refurb, try to change the awareness of the students. And also we have one more idea for students, teaching students. And also I would like to talk about the institute that we just considering. And I've been working with the BUSAN, the province. So when I just try to make offer to this city, I just have been searching for the products from the area, like a fish sauce. So we just have a products to how to utilize the special products from the area. But actually, I have no less idea for the food refurb. What is food refurb? So this year also, the ugly food, which is thrown away, that I'm sure that I will try to adapt it to the Wuhan province. Not only for the professor today, but also all the professor in school. I hope try to change the awareness of the students, not only students but also for the consumers. Thank you. So this is what we can do in the academic sector. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your comments. The thought-provoking point from the Dr. Lee's presentation, I would like to ask about some comments more.
The ugly food, to utilize the ugly food, especially we can working on livestock, and it is not easy to using for the fisheries business sector, and we can use the skin for the fish, for the food cats, and also the fallen fruits can be used for the gums for the pets. The pet food market is emerging right now. It is growing. That we can always use food refurb not only for human, but also we can use it for the pet food market. So we just can consume in the pet food market. So this is a very perspective.
I also a professor of the university, and one day when students asked me about that how his career need to be in the future. So he said, I am not a good chef, and what can I be? And he asked, so I asked him that, what do you like? And I like cat. So he suggested him that you can research about the food of the pet, so pet food. So he said, that's so good idea. So I can research about pet food for my life. Do you have any more comment?
Pet food. I'm very interested in pet food. And when I work in the pet food company, you happen to touch upon the salmon. Not only salmon, but also for the tuna that we have some portion that we cannot eat. But when you give it to the pet, it was a very effective. The cats love it. And also, I'm sure that for the beef, there will be the same. So it is also good to utilize it.
Personally, I have 3 cats, and I always think about what kind of thing they will like. And I think I need to study more about the food refurb and the pet food.
마침 아마 9월
As I remember, in last September in Mexico, they opened pet show and cat show. So I was exhibit the pet show, and a lot of person was interested, and they came to see the show. And there are small businesses, they are making fat snacks as well. So when I went to Gwang'an Beach, many people taking their cats and dogs take a walk. So I think the pet market is expanding. Those cats and dogs need some food, not only food, but they need snack as well. So we can utilize food refurbishment into pet food. So that's my opinion. we need to introduce these kind of new innovative way of thinking to the expert. Secondly, I would like to listen about the vegan subject. So please mention more about the vegan product.
Yeah, you are right. The ugly food is vegetables. So utilizing this, we just can make the snacks for vegan. In Korea, we have less vegetarian. But if you just make this one and try to make it the import, it will be successful. By using upcycling, if we just produce the vegan products from the bean ground, I'm sure that the vegan can take the protein. So we need to have R&D and sustainable the support. This will lead the food refurb, and also we can export this vegan food.
Food refurb industry is not yet advanced now. It's our starting point. We need more practical level, not only our scholars. So in case of the kimchi, we need to invite those kind of actual producers. As I mentioned before, the fallen apples are used for the apple extract, and I use those extracts to make a sauce, and that's a great idea. So we not only the related in food related sector, but also the practical sector need to participate in this conference. So I would like to ask some comments about vegan product to Dr. Lee.
From school, when you have a class, so when you try to develop the products, we need to divide the normal products and also vegan products. Especially Korean market is not very big, but I'm sure that it will be emerging soon. The food refurb, ugly food products. With these products, when we just produce the vegan food, so we just can make it not actually from the vegan food, but we just make it from with the good nutrition. So there we have a more possibility. So we are at the stage of commence. So maybe we are using this change of gen like a GMO. Not only for this, for the eatable insects, is only focusing on the vegan food, but it is not a good idea. And as you just got presented, that we just had the beans of the ground and also the beer hope ground, that we can make it cookies and the snacks. But in this point, what I'm concerned is the value of the consumer is that we just pay for the value, something on it, that is not included the labor and also wages. By using these products, how can we economize the value of the wage or labor and satisfy the consumers? So when I get to Mart and try to find the refurb products or the vegan foods, it's not, I cannot feel the value of the economic value. So when you just thinking of the price is a little high, that I just can't feel. It's quite expensive. So we have a lot of expense during the processing and byproducts, all this ways. So the price for the consumer is rising. So when I buy something, that is quite expensive. So if we buy, I'm sure that the consumer will not buy if the food refurbished products is quite expensive, then they will not buy it. For food refurb, the concept of the food refurb is very new to the consumer. So we're just talking about the efficiency of the products. So when you make the hop ground, the cookie, then the consumer think it's quite expensive to pay for it. And also, if they just try, if there's also another idea when consumer pay for something and they just use it and they just have some kind of awareness that they are saving the earth, this will be, ethically, it's a good idea for the consumers that they just contribute for the environmental issues. Then they will willing to pay for the same price with the other normal, regular products. So they just believe that they are doing the real goods and smart consuming. Then this will lead our business.
Several days ago, I went to a lecture about the food refurb. They mentioned about low carbon things, that now the food waste is the amount of the food waste is a lot, so we have to have another perception on this, not only the value but the environmental effect. So we need to promote more about the food refurb, and that is only the effective way. So maybe later the government need to step in to food refurb. So another thing that I want to discuss about your presentation, the expiration date, the labeling thing. So how it will change now? It's not expiration date now. It will change the use by date. So I think in Japan they used already the use by date. Use by date is itself. I mean the expiration date is.
The expiry date is so when the expiry date is not over yet, but when you just open it, you just can have the best before. So you just put in the right place and the right occasion. So and also the consumer should know more about the concept for the food. For example, we have to put the freezer, and then we have to put the freezer in the products, or in the refrigo. We have to put the products in the frigo. So we need to have exact information of the food. So the point of the consumers, then they just need to change their awareness of the food. So then this will reduce the waste.
I was a moderator of this conference every year, and I can feel the advanced discussion every year. So what is the future of the food refurb conference? What should we need to discuss later? Before, the professor mentioned about the Chungcheong province cabbage. So as I remember, 2008 to 2009, some area in Chungcheong province, the cabbage price was high. So we called the gold cabbage. In that time, Chungcheong province area, they made a cabbage with salted. And I think that was the starting point, but now this is very popular. And this year they have kimchi festival as well. So when we think about the local food, the local farmers use their own product and make another way to sell. And when I think about the tomato was produced in Busan and when it goes to Seoul, the carbon footprint of that tomato is huge. So in this case, when you think about the environmental impact, we have to consume or produced or processed in local to reduce the carbon footprint. So the producer and the retailers and the local government, and more important, the agriculture farm unions, they have to be work together. So we need a governance that can manage overall sectors. Among the population of Korea, the Seoul and Gyeonggi province populations are almost half of the whole population. So most of the people are living in Seoul. So most expensive and the most valuable products goes to Seoul. But except that the other labor product need to consume in the local. But it's not only the producer can realize those things. We need a control tower to do all this. So the governance should step in, and I think that that is another way to resolve the food refurb solution.
As a professor, we are just started. So the awareness of consumer change is one of the most important issue. So, and also you're just talking about the idea that the people thinking about the value of the products. So if there's any similar to situation of like food refurb, if you have, and if you have, just let me know. Then we just have a chance for the investigate. And also not only for the awareness of the consumer, if we have any the institutional and also business sector in the local government, if they have vitalized all these issues to be vitalized.
I mentioned before, food refurb is adding value. So I think that perception is not a good way to raise the awareness of consumer. So I need to more think about it. So I would like to ask some comments about the speaker.
The government, the local government should lead the food refurb business. ESG management is essential to all the business sector. So for the food industry, also working on the ESG management. And also this business sector working on the food refurb, not only for them, but also for we have a union of the agriculture and livestock and fisheries and the producer. Also try to transform all the idea to the restaurant, the business sector, and also we need to have the regulation to set up for such as the ESG management. So the government simultaneously the business sector to work on this.
I think the way we need to go, that now we have conference, but I think that in the future we need some guests from government and a producer and the consumer. They all need to part in this conference. The all other sectors from all parties should involve in this one.
앞에서 다 말씀을 하셔가지고
Everybody talked about the same idea. So if there's a chance, I'm sure there will be the big stride on it.
Food refurb produce as you all know, processed food, we use mostly the low-grade products. The leftover vegetables from the vegetable market, and then they made the value-added processing food. I was studying in France, and if the farm product was not sold that day, the next day the government collect those kind of vegetables and they processed, made another product. So for the processing part, I think the government or local government need to step in there. I think that is not easy without the government's role. So we have session about 1 hour, the presentation and the discussion. So now I want to ask a question from the floor. Do you have any question? Okay. Okay, we got a question now. Please give her a mic.
거를 듣고
Thank you for your comments and also your poem. It was very thoughtful to me, but many ideas comes to me. Most of the business sector, when we have this kind of issue, we have to also focusing on the making benefits or profits. So conference should be connected to the exhibition to make money. So the government and the governance try to support us, and also the restaurant industry. If they cannot make any benefits from the conference, I'm sure that they will not pay attention and they try to be here with us. So the support from government, business sector, and academy should work together. Do you have any advice? What we have to do?
That is a very good point. So I want to ask Dr. Lee Jong-min. You can give some comments about it.
So as the question, the local government and the food industry and the producer, they together work together to make an exhibition. So people get interested in this sector.
Some ideas was come up in my mind when I listen your questions, that we have to make some profitable industry. We have to give some ideas to the government, not just ending here in conference. We have to give the ideas to the government so they can make some money to support. So we have to invite government officers and listen their opinion, and that is good. That is necessary. And then later, after the government officers step in, the business sector will participate. For example, making tofu, there are many byproducts when you make tofu. So I suggested them to use those kind of byproduct that makes another processing food, but the officer, the producer of tofu said that costs a lot to make byproduct product. So I think the government officer need to step in here. Do you have any other opinion, the panelists? Do you have any good idea? I think the food refer keyword, I think that is not familiar to the public, not yet. So eventually, people will recognize those new concepts after they see a lot and experience a lot. I think this keyword is not familiar, so we need more various way to approach to the public. Before they mentioned about government, now they have food repurpose sector in government ministry. And I think the related government sector, they aware about the food reform concept, but I do not know how far they go. So we need raise their awareness as well. Several years ago, the one 거저리 I was researching about those insects. It was not easy to do, but after the Ministry of Agriculture take part in, then the process of research speeded up. So I think the government sector need to participate in this food reform conference. Is it okay? Is it enough to you? I think it's good they can get some ideas from us. So now I will wrap up the discussion. Thank you for your presentation and thank you for your comments and questions today. Thank you.
Thank you for your forum. Thank you for your discussion. Thank you for the Choi Soo-gun, the professor of the Korean Academy of Culinary Resource Science. Thank you. Give them a big applause. So today we just discussed a lot of idea on the food reform, which is thrown away. So it was a very precious moment for us. All the programs has been prepared, are now finished. The food reform is a very new idea for us, but first year we had a very unknown issue, but now it is became a culture. The culture will be transformed as the regulation to set up. I'm sure that I have a positive perceptive for us, and I hope next year the governor and the official come here to our conference. So our event is finished. It was long today and yesterday too. The next year, I hope to have our passion and all our efforts for the next year. Thank you so much. I'm your announcer, Park Eun-young. Thank you so much.